Welcome to my channel. This video is for a backer for a 4-inch flower, and I'll also be showing you how I attach all the sections of the mum together and the flower. If you haven't done so, please subscribe and don't forget to tap that bell for notifications on my uploads and live streams, and don't forget to comment and share. Backer is going to be for what I call a tiny mum, and that's smaller than a mini mum, so I use these for the really young children. And I use either a 3-inch or a 4-inch flower. So I'm cutting the ribbons at 4 inches long because I don't want the loops very big at all. And I'm using a small backer. You can use like a 3 or 4-inch backer on these as well. I'm just layering these ribbons. I'm using the 1.3-inch white acetate or lustre, the 7/8-inch black acetate or lustre, and then the 5/8-inch glitter, red glitter. So I'm going to make 4 of those loops. The very last one. Now, see how cute those are? Simple 3-layer loop, but it looks so pretty. Now for the next 4 set of loops, I'm using the 1.3-inch, which is also the number 9, a red acetate or lustre, the 7/8-inch black, and then a 5/8-inch soft satin that has silver glitter hearts on it. And I've had that ribbon for a while. I don't remember exactly where I got that from. I want to say it was like Walmart or somewhere like that, but I'm not 100% sure. And like I said, I've had it for a while, so you may not be able to find it anymore. It's just one of those fun ribbons I find. You know, you can find somewhere like during Valentine's or something, and you can use on a mum. Now I'm using that where I just showed how it's kind of got that circle on the inside there. I'm using that as a guide on where to attach my loops. And I like to lay my loops out first before attaching them and just kind of see if it's going to look good how I'm picturing it in my head. So I like to get a visual of it first. Now for the first 4 loops, I'm going to attach them in a north, south, east, and west pattern, or a plus sign. And then how far in or out you're attaching your loops will also determine what size flower you need to use. So I'd always go north-south first on my loops and try to get them straight across from each other, because I want this nice straight pattern of doing the first 4 and then the next 4 in between those. So I don't want any like crooked or too close together. I don't, they're not perfect, but I try to get them really close. And I like to use my mat, my Fiskars mat there, to help guide me on where to attach the loops. It helps me attach them on there much straighter and even. Now for the next 4, and you can attach the next 4, you can attach them where they're even, sticking out the same measurement as the other loops, or you can attach them in the backer, like towards the middle, further in. After attaching that one, when I started to attach this next red one, I noticed that one of the loops was crooked. So even using my mat and everything, it's not, like I said, it's not perfect and I can still screw up. But once you start to attach those next 4, you can tell if there's too much of a gap between 2 of the loops. So I'm just starting over. It was easy to pull that off, starting over and reattaching it. Now I'm ready for the next 4, and I try to attach these evenly in between those first 2 loops there. And like I said, you can attach them the same length as the other ones on the backer, or you can go in further. It just depends on what look you're going for. I did these pretty evenly, so it's like an even circle with all the loops on there. I don't know how else to describe that, but going in on the backer towards the middle. I thought it turned out really pretty. Of course, I'm not done yet. I got to add a few more fun things, so I'm going to add some Deco mesh tubing on there, because you guys know how much I love to use tubing. It just adds a fun element to the backers. But you can just do loops. It's perfectly fine. I don't always add tubing. If you're wanting a more traditional look, then you'll just want to stick with loops. So after I attach the first little loops there with the Deco mesh tubing. I just used that one as a guide on how big to make the next loops for the next ones, because I want them to be pretty even. I don't want to make one set of loops with tubing on one side that's really small and then really large on the other one, unless you're going for that, unless you're going for just like attaching different sizes on all over the back, or different sizes of ribbons, different lengths and stuff like that. I've done that before too, and that's really fun. Funky looking backers. But if you're wanting to go like more symmetrical, then you know you want to make sure that you're attaching everything evenly. Don't be afraid to experiment either with your mums, adding different crazy things on them. So I did the silver tubing first, and now I'm going to do red tubing. I like the tubing because it just adds, like I said, this fun element, but it just gives it a different texture and dimension and everything. So I like that. Again, this is going on a tiny, what I call a tiny mum. That just makes a difference for me, so I know it's going to be for a really, really young child and something very small, or maybe it's like a grandma mum or something. They want it to be more, not really corsage size, so it's still got streamers and stuff, but much smaller. Because I have a lot of high school students that wear the mini mums and stuff, and I make them with either a 4-inch or a 5-inch flower, so they can still be pretty wide and pretty big. So I had to name this tiny as something different so they could see that it was going to be for even younger children. But with these tinies, I usually attach 2 or 3 braids or chains with those as well, since they are smaller, and then I do these little braids and chains with them. So here you can see I'm adding some tinsel as well. This is some red tinsel. This was purchased at Walmart during Christmas. It's a really, really pretty tinsel. They had it in the reds, of course silver and gold, and then they also had a royal blue and then the green. So I got all different colors to use with different for the different mums. So that's a 3-inch flower, and you can tell that's way too small for that backer. So I need the 4-inch flower for this one. But I just wanted to show, how far you attach your loops. If I had attached the loops in further on the backer, I could have used the 3-inch flower. So it really depends on where you're attaching your loops, how big of the backer you've got, and where you're attaching your loops, and what size flower. So, back before I attached my loops, when I laid them out, you can also lay your flower. If you only have one size flower, you can lay your flower on there and kind of determine, okay, this is how I need to attach the loop so it works with the flower size. But as you can see, the 4-inch is perfect for that. So for my tinies, I use a 3-inch or a 4-inch. And then for my minis, I use a 4-inch or a 5-inch. And here I've already attached the streamers and the braids and chains. I don't go like real crazy with the braids and chains. I do pretty simple ones. You can see there's a whip braid, there's a military braid, and then there's a loop chain that's 2 colors. And they're kind of the loops are kind of zigzagged. And there's still some places to put some vinyl. There's a few trinkets. It's not, I don't go big, I don't go crazy with it. It still only has 1 layer of ribbon streamers overlapped like I do with the minis. It's got more braids and chains on it. So I just want to glue those sections together. I always staple the top first to keep the backers together, and then I glue them together. Now I'm going to staple all around. You want to make sure those backers are sealed up tight all the way around. No gaps in the backers as best you can. The bigger the mum, the harder it is to get there, right where I'm going in the center, because that's as big of a stapler as you can get. So just do the best you can. Get some glue up in there if you have to, but be careful, because with glue, you could end up getting the glue all over your braids and chains and stuff, so just be very careful. Well, I tried to go all the way around. I try to staple on top of where the ribbon necklace or the ribbon pin is, just to make sure that's nice and secure. So now it's time for the flower. I've already secured the flower with a Chanel stem. I hot glue those in. I have videos for that if you need to see that. just run that chenille stem through that hole, and you can tell, since I use the ribbon spool, the hole is pretty big. So what I'm doing is I'm gluing under there, or putting the glue, hot glue, in there on the bottom of that flower, and I'm holding the flower in place to make sure the flower is centered, and let it dry like that, and then I'll move on to the next step, because since there's some wiggle room, if I just pull that chenille stem and staple it, then that flower would go whichever direction I pulled the chenille stem, and it would be off center on the mum. So since I use the ribbon spool ends and it's got those big holes, I have to glue the mum in place first. So now I'm taking my chenille stem and I'm stapling it. This is just extra security. I like to make sure the flower is not going to go anywhere. Give it a couple of staples. Then I'm going to cut that excess amount off of that chenille stem. Fold that up. So see, if I didn't glue that flower in place at the beginning, glue it in the center of the mum, then when I did this with the chenille stem, it would have made the flower go up that direction, and it would have been off-centered on the mum. It would have looked funny. Now it's time for just a clean backer, and I'm just using chipboard, recycled chipboard. I cut circles out. I have circle cutters, and sometimes I use my scan and cut, but that can dull your blade really quickly. You can also just trace them out and cut them, but I just save boxes, chipboard boxes, and cut my own backers. It does take some time, but you're recycling and you're saving money, so just whatever you want to do. But I mean, you can buy lots of backers. They're not that expensive, but they don't come in all the sizes that I do my mums in either, so I would have to do this anyway for some of these mums. They do come in 4-inch, they come in 6-inch and stuff like that, but I do those minis and the mid-size. I use mostly 5-inch. For the 5-inch flowers, I use a 5-inch backer, and so you can't buy those. I have to make those myself. And then I save all those ribbon spool ends too. You don't have to cut circles for those. You just save the ribbon spool ends, and you're recycling something, and they're already circle shaped. That's very easy. The only thing with the ribbon spool ends is like what I showed. You have to make sure that you center your mum and glue it in place. So you want to glue that clean backer on really good. Make sure, again, try not to have any gaps in there. You also don't want to use too much glue because you don't want it oozing out. And here it is finished. So I did a cardinal custom cutout. I did a cute bow on the mum flower, some bows. You can see it has a few trinkets and bling and stuff, so nothing crazy. You don't want them too heavy. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope this video was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and share and comment. Tap that bell for notifications, and as always, be kind with your comments and be kind to others, and happy mum making, everyone.